But now she's decided to have a bit of a misfire problem. So yeah, code P0301, which is a generic code for cylinder 1 misfire. So it's not pointing at any specific component, it's just simply saying there is a misfire in cylinder 1. So that's good, because at least it's only one cylinder and it's identified the problem. Hopefully it's the right one. So what we've got today is a little bit of diagnostic and investigating into that. So that should be fun. Got myself a new spark plug. So start with the obvious stuff: spark plug, coil pack, and then we're on to injector. It could be many different things like fuel delivery, but I would have thought if it was a problem with fuel pressure or fuel flow or a clogged filter or pump or something, it would have misfire on like all the cylinders. Not just one cylinder would have the problem at the very end of the rail. It seems a bit odd. Could be that the injector's blocked. I think it has more specific codes if it has problems with broken wires, like to the coil pack. It would probably show like an open circuit in that sort of circuit. Some of them have more specific stuff when it's like a broken wire rather than it's just not firing kind of problem that we've got. Hopefully it's nothing serious like, you know, coolant in the cylinder or something, because that would stop it firing and would be very bad. But yeah, we'll start with the basics. So yeah, I'll chuck you on a tripod. So first things first, we need to get this rather inconveniently located airbox off the top of it. So obviously need to start with the inlet pipe. And whatever happens, don't drop this one down the back in the fan shroud for the radiator, because I did that once and it was an absolute nightmare to get out. So there we go, we'll just pop these out. Now obviously just lifts off at the front here, and then it's just a rubber connection here onto the actual plastic airbox. So you just tease that off. There we go. Then we can move on to the airbox. That's a bit of a pig, so disconnect the intake air temp sensor, and we need to undo 3 bolts, one of which is like hidden right down the back, I think, from memory, and then take off the breather pipe on this side, which goes to the cover itself. So find some of those bolts, I guess. These are all M6 bolts, obviously with the 10mm hex. Either way, yeah, there we go. So that's the one we're going to be looking at closely today, and obviously his injector's here as well, so it doesn't look like there's any problems with that. It's still clipped on as well, so we'll have a listen to that later. But yeah, let's just get this airbox off and cue the ridiculously long extension, because I don't have another one that's shorter. There it is. There we go. We could do that one from the next door garage. Lovely. Oh, there we go. And this is another one you don't want to drop down the back. Stay there. Hello. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so 3 bolts out, I think that's it. And then it is usually quite well stuck onto the throttle body here, so intake air temp sensor wiring off. Please don't break, don't need another code. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, don't forget the throttle cable is hooked onto it as well, so we put him up out of the way. And now comes the fun part of trying to wrestle this pipe off of the cam cover, so bear with me while I do that off camera. Okay, there we are, the 1GFE in all of its, well, glory, I guess. So obviously, frustratingly, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong, but I mean, obviously if the top of the coil had like blown out or something, well, that would be obvious, and all the wires seem attached. That's here, that, you know, you follow it around into the loom, there's no like chew marks on it or anything like a mouse has got in and eaten it or anything, so that's clipped on. It's not covered in oil or anything. All the earths, they're all sort of nicely on the top there. Again, the wiring to the number 1 injector doesn't look bad, so visually kind of seems okay. We'll know more when we get the plug out. Yeah, so we'll go for that next. So obviously the battery's already disconnected, because this thing spends most of its time in the garage anyway, especially in this weather. So pop that off, just push in the clip, slide it out, coil pack out. take the plug out and inspect the plug. I have had plugs that look good that are actually bad, so we've got a spare one, so we'll chuck that in. Then I think what we'll do is we'll swap the coil pack from number 1 to number 2 and then hook it all back up again, because if it was the spark plug, the new spark plug will fix it and we should have no misfire. If it's the coil pack, the problem should now go to cylinder 2 misfire, so we know that that is the damaged component, because that's the only thing we've swapped over. I could have swapped the spark plugs over as well, done that one at a time, but this way you get to do sort of 2 things at once, and spark plugs are only like 10 or 12 quid I suppose. And the slightly worrying thing is this had new spark plugs and coils about 2 years ago, so it shouldn't be worn out or damaged, although they aren't particularly great brand. Well, we got Beckerman, I think that one says on it at the back there, but the rest of them don't seem to have a name at all, which is a bit weird. So allegedly it's had replacement coils and spark plugs already, but and I had to replace the one in number 5 because that obviously had a really dodgy thread on it, if you remember. So yeah, anyway, and then we can have a listen to the injector, I guess, see if the injector's even ticking, because the injector could be dead. Actually, while we've got it off, we can test that with the multimeter. So yeah, give me a sec, we'll give that a quick beep and see what resistance we find. Right then, so push in. This isn't exactly the easiest plug to get to. There we are, that's off. It's not full of oil, there's a little bit of oil in it, but nothing I'd worry about. I'll give that a quick spray out anyway, but yeah, get the trusty multimeter and put it on horseshoe mode, so don't beep at me. 13.1. 13 ohms, that one, which is I think what it should be. We'll try another one next to it and see what that comes up at. Again, slightly oily, but not the end of the world. These should be high resistance ones, so what we got? 13.2 as well. 13.8. Back to number 1. Stop it. 13.1. So that measures up right. It should be around the 13 odd mark. Again, could be blocked internally, but right then, get that puppy out. And also get that one loose as well. Again, there's no like cracking or splitting of any of the wires or anything, so no fur and corrosion. No oil in the bottom. Obviously I did change the cam cover gasket, and that includes a spark plug tube, so it could be the oilers. I mean, it's pretty difficult. I mean, the seals are about 15 or 20 mil down the tube, so to get oil there, then up overflowing and then down the hole to fill it is quite an ask. But I'll go and write number 1 on that, so we at least know where he came from, so we know this is the suspect. And we'll put number 2 on this one, so we know where he came from. Lovely. I mean, the contacts look okay, and he's still got the spring thing sort of up the arse of it anyway, so it's not like it's not making contact anymore or anything. That looks okay up there, it's all clean. Have a quick look down the hole, make sure it's not full of oil, but like I said, I doubt that would happen. And then, yeah, we'll get that spark plug out. And then we'll have a look down there as well, because once the spark plug's out, we should be able to see down the top of the cylinder. And the last thing we want to see down there is coolant in the bore. So if there's coolant on top of that piston, yeah, we know there's a problem with the head gasket or something. So yeah, we'll get the spark plug out, and hopefully it's just the plug. So long magnetic spark plug removers. This is 16mm. This is, I think, for motorbikes, but obviously you need quite a thin wall one, because obviously they don't really fit down there, and it has to be magnetic. I've had it before with like the rubber insert ones, but when you pull them off, the rubber insert sometimes stays on the spark plug and you've got no way of getting it out because it's like that far down a tube. So I like the magnetic ones for that reason. So yeah. And yeah, he looks worryingly fine. So yeah, there's no serious like carbon build up. It looks absolutely normal to me. Smells a tiny bit oily, but it's not soaked in anything. Reasonable colour on the strap, so I don't know, we'll switch him out anyway for the new one because we've got it. Like I said, I have had ones that look okay but are actually bad. And then we'll put it back together and fire up, see what happens. And I always turn it anti-clockwise until you hear the threads engage and click together, so that way you don't cross-thread them. But there you go. And according to my factory manual, they're 18 Newton meters to tighten. Obviously these have a crush washer, so that's why I like to use a torque wrench. Because if you look at the packet tells you with the crush washer, which is this type, you need to turn them 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn. Now, that is true, but only when it's a brand new crush washer that's about to get crushed. Once it's been put in and then taken out, the crush washer is already crushed, so that half to sort of 2/3 of a turn doesn't exist anymore because the washer is already compressed. So that's why torque wrench is always the answer for me. So there we go, pop him on there. You feel it squashing. About 1/2, and yeah, that's about 2/3. Lovely. So now we have number 1 coil, and he's going back in number 2 hole. Still got the spring in there, so you go in there. And number 2. He's still got a spring in him, so that's fine. So number 2 and number 1. Spark plug, yeah, that's in there, good, lovely. There you go. And that does sit down to the bottom. Okay. 2 go back on. 1 go back on. I can't be bothered to put the airbox on just for this trial because we might be taking all this nonsense off again, but so it doesn't throw another code, we'll put the intake air temp sensor that I've rescued out of the airbox back on his place, so at least it's not missing its sensor throwing another code for us. So yeah, everything else looks okay, I guess. Fire it up, see what happens. I'm not that hopeful at the moment, but if it moves to 2, I'll be happy because at least I know it's the coil. If it still runs like shit, then we'll have to have a look at this injector basically. So, because like I say, it's got the right resistance, but it might not be firing because it might be seized inside, or it might be clicking, but the basket in the top might be clogged, so fuel might not actually be getting through. So don't know. So let's open the garage, hook up the battery, take off our throttle body protector, and yeah, cross your fingers for me at home because this day's about to get longer or shorter. Well, here goes nothing. We'll check if it's in neutral, but it's in auto, so here we go. Doesn't feel great. Although we have no light on at the moment. Feels very juddery. Yeah, that's not right. it is firing that injector. Yeah, it's definitely not right. There's no warning light on at the moment, but it's definitely not running right. There's a very slight miss still. Okay, so sit rep. The car still has a misfire, but there's no warning light on the dash anymore. There's no codes in the ECU either. Sometimes it takes like a few cycles of the key when it's sort of registers the problem more than once, or when you drive the car, that's when it actually registers it. So either way, it's not telling us where the problem is now. So what we're going to do, I think we'll go old school. We'll take the new spark plug out, put the old spark plug back in just to block the cylinder. Then we can connect the spark plug to the coil to the wire, and then rest the spark plug on the cam cover, and then see if the spark plug actually sparks or not. We've checked the injector. I was listening to that with the screwdriver. Put the tip of the screwdriver on the injector, and then put the handle to my ear, and I can hear it ticking. Obviously, you've got to be real careful with that, because if you've got any like loose clothing or anything, you can easily get dragged into the alternator belt. So that's obviously something I'm always very careful of. There you go, no sparking at all. Brand new spark plug, number 1 coil, number 2 wire. So yeah, dead coil pack. So yeah, it looks like coil number 1 is our suspect. Whenever I tried to use it, see position 2 with the different plug wiring and coil 1 and an old spark plug, it wouldn't fire. Position 2 with the old number 1 coil and the new plug wouldn't fire. Wire 1, coil 1, new plug, doesn't fire. Wire 1, which had the problem code readout for cylinder 1, with this coil number 2 on it and a new plug, fired fine. So whenever I use coil number 1, it doesn't work. So I'm pretty sure that's my suspect. I did try and swap it around to a different combination, but because it had 2 coil packs unplugged, it wouldn't even start. So pretty sure that's it, because wherever I use this, it's dead. So yeah, I'm going to tidy up my tools. Just a little bit of a thing for you. This is probably one of the most important tools to me. I know it's just a sort of like a flat blade, rounded off, slightly bent screwdriver, but this is something my granddad gave me. It's older than I am, and although it may not be particularly useful for actually being a screwdriver, it is useful for prying on things and poking things, and generally I use it for a stethoscope to listen to. So just one of those little things you have in your toolbox that reminds you of someone, and is very much more important than the actual object is itself. So let me know down in the comments if you've got any of this sort of stuff going on in your toolbox. I'm off to buy a coil, throw that in, and yeah, I'll let you guys know on the next episode or at the end of this one. Take care of yourselves. Okay then, so it's a couple of days later and I've got myself a replacement coil from Blueprint. Always had pretty good luck with their aftermarket parts, so I decided to go with them. ADT 31497 is the part number. So yeah, we're going to pop that back in. I am going to swap, this is coil 2, so that's going to go back into its position. I'm going to put the new one in position 1. You've seen me take it all apart, you don't need to see me put it back together. So yeah, going to pop that one in, and yeah, you'll see it all assembled in 3, 2, 1. And there we are. So it's all back together. How's that for confidence? Yeah, so we'll fire it up, see what happens. So should just be running on 6, but let's find out. Ready? Absolutely perfect. Jobs are good, and no light. All 6 cylinders firing again, no shuddery wobbly. All sorted. So that's it for this episode, guys. I'm going to take her out for a quick drive now, so let me know down in the comments if you want to see like a POV drive or something. We could probably do that. And I'll give you my best Clarkson style road test. But yeah, all sorted. Happy it was just a call pack. So yeah, let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see a POV drive or something, just so we can actually get out of the garage for once. So yeah, great to see you guys. Thanks for sticking with it to the end. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves.